Well, welcome back, everybody. Thanks so much for being here again, and welcome new subscribers. Well, today, guys, we're going to talk about being the scapegoat of the family. A lot of you wrote me that you were indeed the scapegoat of your narcissistic family unit. And if you haven't watched my narcissistic family unit videos, parts 1 and 2, please do, because they do describe different family roles and the dynamics of being raised in a narcissistic family unit, especially if you are the scapegoat. Now, I'm going to go over some signs that you were or are the scapegoat of your family, and we'll talk about these after I'm done with these points. But if these apply to you and if these resonate with you, please put it in the comments below and let me know if you are still dealing with the narcissistic family, or if you put up boundaries or distance yourself. So let's go over some of these points here. These are points that will indicate that you are the scapegoat of your family and that was your family role. It's a very difficult role to have growing up, and it does affect so much and so many decisions in your life later on that it's important that you recognize if you are the scapegoat in your family so you can limit the abuse, obviously, and make better decisions in the future. Now, number one is your family will label you as too sensitive or too emotional. You're the emotional one. Now, that may not be the case. Scapegoats just happen to have a high level of empathy and compassion. They're very caring, feeling people. And yes, they have a depth of emotion. That's not a bad thing. But the narcissistic family unit, or the head narcissist in the family, will see that as a sign of weakness or an imperfection in the scapegoat, and will label the scapegoat too sensitive and too emotional and basically too everything. Another sign is the scapegoat will be labeled too outspoken, or causing trouble, or creating problems, whatever it is. And it's simply because the scapegoat is authentic. You know, they call a spade. They call out the dysfunction in the family. They're the truth tellers. They're the whistleblowers. And that's seen as too outspoken and drumming up problems in the family. That's how the scapegoat will be labeled by others, and especially the head narcissist in the family. Another thing is the scapegoat will have an inability or difficulty to talk about their feelings in a narcissistic family if they're the scapegoat. Again, feelings aren't allowed, and you're not allowed to report any abuse. You're not allowed to say anything that is in-depth or showing any type of emotion or feeling in a narcissistic family, because they tend to present a perfectionistic view of themselves. It's all about them and how they're perceived and how the family is viewed, and they don't want to hear about any imperfections or any problems or any drama or any abuse. And certainly they don't want to hear about the scapegoat's feelings. They're just not allowed. They can't process them. Narcissists aren't good at acknowledging any type of feelings at all. It's all about them and their image, right? So feelings will get shut down, canceled, stifled, tucked under the rug, etc. So another sign here that you're the scapegoat is that you'll be called difficult or selfish for setting boundaries. Now, that's typical of narcissists as well, is it not? You need to protect yourself if you are the scapegoat. You know, you don't want to set yourself up for repeat abuse by family members. So you'll set up boundaries. If you keep getting insulted, hurt, and traumatized at certain family get-togethers, then you may avoid those and set those boundaries. And it's for your own self-protection. But the narcissistic family or the head narcissist will label you as bad or selfish or snobby or thinking of yourself or not being considerate, and you'll be the bad guy. They'll label you as mentally ill when actually the scapegoat is the healthiest family member as far as they're psychologically healthy, because they are able to feel emotions, they're able to acknowledge abuse, they're able to see the dysfunction and call it out. So they're the most emotionally healthy in the family, yet they'll be labeled falsely as being crazy, mentally ill, too dramatic, causing problems, difficult, all the above. Another one is scapegoats are gaslit to no end by family members. You know, they'll hear, that didn't happen, you're making it up, I don't recall that. I mean, it's all gaslighting. It's telling the scapegoat that the abuse never happened, the events never happened, what they heard wasn't heard, what they saw wasn't seen. It goes on and on. if you deal with that for years and years, that is severe abuse. Gaslighting is abuse in the DSM. It's mental abuse. And believe me, the scapegoat of the family has a whole lifetime of that. It does a number. It's extremely traumatic, especially when the abuse is severe. Nobody believes them. It didn't happen, according to the family. Also, the scapegoat may be prone to certain types of strongholds and addictions, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, eating disorders, drug abuse, alcoholism. Many times not, but a lot of times the scapegoat is so traumatized and so depressed because they feel they have nowhere to go in their family. There's nobody to talk to. There's no support. It's all put downs and devaluing in the family, just like any other narcissistic relationship, just like an intimate relationship with a narcissist. It's all false narratives about the scapegoat. It's all gaslighting. When the scapegoat tries to report the abuse, nobody believes them, nobody backs them up, and then when they are around family members, it's sarcasm, jokes, insults, backhanded compliments that are put downs, and shaming the scapegoat to no end. And by shaming, I mean, the scapegoat can go to a family get-together or a public event, or perhaps a neighbor says something that is personal information to the scapegoat that's incorrect and false. That's basically shaming the scapegoat, spreading false narratives about them to people that the scapegoat doesn't even know. And sometimes the scapegoat is the last one to find out about these false narratives. So there really isn't any place to go. Now, another sign you're the scapegoat has to do with this as well. It's you can't trust family members. Now, in most healthy families, you go to your family member for your support, or when something bad happens in your life, or if you're sick, God forbid, you would trust your family members with that news or information. But if you are the scapegoat in your family, no, you do not trust your family with your illness. You do not trust your family with your finances. You do not trust your family with any type of information, job loss, or even your successes, because they will be misconstrued and distorted and used against you somehow. And, that's happened in the past many times. So scapegoats learn that, hey, I can't trust my family with doing what's right by me, or supporting me, or comforting me in a time of need. They do the opposite. So most families have a supportive, loving, kind family in times of need, but the scapegoat has the enemy who's just looking to destroy them, in their time of need. You can imagine it's very upsetting and very traumatic, and the scapegoat pretty much is on their own through life. They learn this. And the narcissist in the family, or the narcissistic family unit, will tell counselors, teachers, priests, clergy, pastors that the scapegoat is the problem and that they need fixing. They need counseling. They have mental health issues, when it isn't the case. It's the narcissistic family that has the issues and not the scapegoat. So time and time again, the narcissistic family, or the narcissist in the family, shames the scapegoat as the problem. And that narrative carries on to neighbors, people in the community, relatives. And so how does the scapegoat, change that? Nobody believes them. They're kind of outnumbered, or they are outnumbered most times. So it's important that if the scapegoat seeks counseling or guidance, that they go to somebody that has actually, who understands scapegoating, who understands the narcissistic family unit's behavior and the type of abuse that they dish out, because a lot of counselors don't. They're not familiar. They don't understand NPD. They don't understand narcissistic family units, or the role of the scapegoat, or the head narcissist or malignant narcissists, and therefore they're still not understood if they reach out and try to get any type of counseling. So it's important that you ask questions to a counselor if they do understand the role of the scapegoat in the family and the different family positions in a narcissistic family unit, etc. And that way they'll get, better help and better counseling, and somebody who actually gets it and understands that it's not their fault. Also, along with scapegoats being told they're making up situations, or that the situation or events never happened, which is, again, gaslighting, they're also told that they should just get over it, or forget about it, or, in a sense, have a form of amnesia suddenly and act like nothing happened. Well, that's what narcissists do. Narcissists always Just act like nothing happened. Narcissistic family unit expects the scapegoat to just have amnesia, forget about not one incident, but a lifetime of incidents, and also set themselves up again and again and again for the same type of abuse. And it will happen again and again because nothing has been resolved. Nothing has been discussed. Nothing has been acknowledged. So the family unit can say, yeah, forget about it, move on. Why can't you forgive and forget? That's all well and fine if the abuser has acknowledged what they've done, or the family has acknowledged their treatment of the scapegoat, and they're making an effort to change. But we know that narcissists cannot do that. They don't do that. They can't do that, and so therefore it's repeat abuse for the scapegoat. It's pin the tail on the scapegoat game every time there's a get-together, or every time the scapegoat tries to accommodate the narcissist in the family or the narcissistic family unit and buys into that guilt that they're just difficult and they're unforgiving and why can't they just forget it and move on. When the scapegoat buys into that and tries to please the family, they're just abused again and again and again. And it reaches a point where they have to set the boundaries. And by setting boundaries, you know that upsets narcissists to no end. They will call the scapegoat, difficult and not wanting to have family around, or not wanting to be part of the family, or being snobby, or whatever they call the scapegoat. But what they have to know is that the scapegoat wants to have family. They just don't want to have an abusive family. It's as simple as that. So the narcissistic family has to understand that the scapegoat is trying to save their own life by putting up boundaries. It's not because they don't want family. It is a very lonely place to be if you are the scapegoat. You don't have family support. Another sign of being a scapegoat is when you are around healthy families and you see how supportive and loving and kind they are, how they help other family members reach their goals, how they're proud and talk highly of their siblings or other family members. And to the scapegoat, that is so foreign. They usually observe families like that with a sense of sadness and in awe, because it's nothing that they've experienced growing up. It's nothing they've seen growing up. As far as the scapegoat is concerned, those families don't exist until they go out in the world and they witness healthy families, and they witness healthy family emotional support, and just the interaction that is normal and healthy between siblings and between parents and children, etc., and the respect that's given within families. It's something that the scapegoat has never, ever had in their life. So if that's you and you are witnessing that, and you've gotten away from your narcissistic family member or family unit, and you're in awe witnessing healthy families, well, that's a step in the right direction. You are now seeing that it's not typical in families, that it wasn't you, it was the family you grew up in. So just know these signs of being the scapegoat, and if they resonate with you, I'm sorry if you had that role. It's not a very pleasant role to have in a family. It's extremely difficult. And another sign here would be, I just thought of it, is, again, as an adult, you would attract similar types. You would attract similar narcissists as an adult, because that's what you knew growing up, unfortunately. And so that's why it's important that you educate yourself on these signs, these dynamics. And if that's how you grew up in your family of origin, then be on the lookout, be discerning, pray for discernment to the Father, and know that in the Bible, the people that God used were usually the scapegoats in their family. And even our Lord was scapegoated, and he could not perform miracles in his hometown among his family members, because a lot of his family members and neighbors and people that knew him growing up just saw him as Joseph and Mary's kid, the carpenter's kid. He wasn't special. He wasn't the Messiah. They mocked him. Pfft, who does he think he is? Is he referring to himself like he's the Messiah? You know how the Pharisees put him down and he ridiculed him. He was going against the law of Moses. He was God, and he was scapegoated. Nobody had faith in him. Nobody saw his gifts and talents. Nobody saw him for who he really was. And therefore, he couldn't do any miracles among his family or in his hometown of Nazareth. He had to leave. He had to leave. So whether you're still there among your family or whether you have left, just know that if you are indeed the scapegoat, you were given compassion, empathy, and a big heart. And the Lord sees that, and he has special plans for you. And he does set you aside and make you different for a reason. And it's not a bad reason. It's a good reason. So many times he allows these things so you are uncomfortable, and so you do leave because your purpose is meant somewhere else, and perhaps your family members are not meant to go there where you're going. Your purpose is different. So understand that and know that God separates scapegoats for a reason, and that it'll bring you closer to him. You learn to rely on God for your provision, God for your emotional strength, and God for your direction and for understanding. He does understand you if you are a scapegoat, even when other people don't. So talk to him, spend time with him, and he will reveal the plans he has for you. He knows the plans he has for you, as it says in Jeremiah. So I hope this was helpful, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know if these signs of a scapegoat resonated with you, and how you handled it. Did you go low or no contact? Are you still dealing with family members? Interesting to find out. And if you would like prayer, please put it in the comments below, and I'll be sure to add you to my daily prayer list. And stay tuned for an upcoming video. That's a word from the Lord. I'll put that out soon, hopefully. And please follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. And if you would like one-on-one Christian guidance, please email me at AngelHavenMinistry@gmail.com, and I will get back to you on how to do that. So thanks so much, everybody. God bless, and I will talk to you soon.